Joe O'Donnell's suspension. The injury to Etienne Savino, how much of a blow is that? And given the lack of proven depth of linebacker, how much of a concern is that?
Tremendous blow. Very good player, but it goes farther beyond that. I made a comment a couple weeks ago, the toughest thing about coaching, and I mean, Sabino's like a son and a brother to everybody. He's an incredible human being. I love that guy, and he's hurting. He talked to the team afterwards, and there was an emotional moment. This team's getting pretty close because of guys like him. So that's first. We're going to miss him. He's out. Best case, he did have surgery. I don't know if Jerry told you he had surgery. He had a plate put in. He has a broken tibia. Is that right? Non-weight bearing. I think it is tibia, non-weight bearing. And so the best case is 3 weeks. The worst case is longer. And we hope to get him back.
And how did you get hurt? I tried to find out when I watched the tape.
I have not asked that question. I should find that out. I don't know. It was early. Only played 14 plays, they said. Did he?
David Wilkinson, please, in the middle.
David Wilkinson, it's in TV. Halfway through the season, 6-0. We all know when it ends. But are the stakes higher now?
Oh, yeah. And we're not shy. We have a State of the Union every week with the players, and they know. And we're not hiding it. And that's your top 10 football team, and the stakes are real high. Obviously, you're in the middle of your conference season as well, too. So my biggest concern is that you're starting, like every team in America is dealing with when you're playing physical games. Our last 2 games were real physical, and we lost some players. And are the backups, are they ready? Do they want to be ready? That's the challenge I have. There's some guys I'm very concerned about as backups. So that's the challenge right now.
All right, over here, Austin.
Austin Ward, ESPN.com. Some of the players were talking Saturday about AP National Championship and that sort of talk. Is that okay with you for them to use that as motivation?
They were excited, and I'm sure someone said, all due respect, but I'm sure the kid didn't walk in and say that. Someone asked him that question, and I get it. No, I'll chat with him about that. No, we got to get I think we only completed 7 passes, and we gave up a bunch of yardage, so we'll handle it. That's not. We're not going to talk about that stuff.
Back right, Clay.
Yeah, Coach, a little off the subject here. Did a story with a couple from Zanesville, had a baby girl named Braxton. Their last name is Miller. Can you...
Braxtoni or Braxtini or Braxton?
They changed the O for an I to make it more girly. I said...
Glad you clarified that.
What does that say about either his growing folk hero status or just the devotion of OSU fans?
Well, it's both, and I think it's, the quarterback position. A lot of young Tebows running around this world too, I imagine, and it's and he's playing very well. The good thing is he's very humbled. He has a virtue that not many guys have. For you, I know a lot of you guys know him. He is a very humble guy, and that's a credit to his family and his high school coach, who I just talked to today. But he's a very humble guy, and just got to keep our eye on the target.
Tim.
Yeah, Tim May, Columbus Dispatch. Go back to what you were talking about the offense a while ago, 7 out of 14 passing, 371 yards rushing. How do you mix the two, in your head? It was a pretty good night, right? Yeah.
Great night.
Yet you still feel like there's a lot left?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the thing I did see is you think we went into the game, and I think the only guy that had a run of over 12 yards was our quarterback. We left the game with a bunch of big runs, and one was a punt return, which we all had to see that. The whole world, 107,000 people in that stadium right there had to see that, and that was Philly Brown. You saw Rod Smith come out the other end of one. You saw Carlos Hyde come out the other end. So we need explosive plays in the offense, and that we crushed them last week in practice and talking about it, and we finally saw that. So Nebraska does a good job in their coverage unit. We knew they did that. That it's a pro style, very good scheme, but it's not conducive to quarterback run. And so we felt going into that we were going to run the quarterback, which obviously is our best player. But the other guys, our offense line is the reason where we're at today and feeling good after a big win is because of the way the offense line played. Let's just tell it exactly the way it is. Our offense line is coming on. And I saw someone ask me yesterday or today that we called that group non-functional because they were. We're not going to lie to you. You know, if they were non-functional today, I'd tell you they're non-functional. Our backups are non-functional. We can't, God bless them, if something happens to a shoestring breaks or something, we're going to call timeout and get a new shoestring because we just don't have the depth there right now.
There were several runs where Braxton wasn't touched or almost touched. I mean, talk about the offensive line. Are they really getting dynamic as far as getting to the second level and things like that too? I mean, what do you see in that development?
Well, when I say offensive line also, our tight ends are very good players. Zach Bourne is playing very well, and then Carlos Hyde actually got the touchdown block on the one where he came out. So, you know, if you could use the word dynamic with an offensive line, right now, this is as good as I've thought about an offensive line in a while. They're really playing well, and they're just fantastic human beings. I mean, they eat you know, last night I go to the Victory Meal and they're all eating together. It's just offensive linemen are weird dudes now. They little pack. The good ones, the good offensive lines, they're always together. They always do things together because. And their coach has done a very good job. Coach Warner's done a very good job with them. Now we got to get, you know, the next two in are Chase. And the big meeting was not about just glorifying our offensive line, but I went after some backups. Taylor Decker has all the talent in the world. He should be rotated in there. And Chase Ferris and Underwood are the next three that have to be ready to go, and they're not. And so that's the pressure I'm going to put on them even more this week because they're good guys and they have talent.
Far left, Matt.
Matt McCoy, WTVN. As great as second quarter and stuff was, you mentioned after the game, the first quarter, and you've been outscored in the first quarter. Can you put a finger on why or what's
Have we for the year been outscored?
Yeah.
A lot?
36-34.
Okay. We started good against, I saw it against Michigan State. We came right out of the chute. I think Cal, we came out of the chute pretty quick. I remember the first quarter of the first game was brutal. I'm trying to evaluate as well. You know, we made a huge deal about that before the MSU game, and then we actually made a huge deal about this one. And they defended us very well. I mean, once again, good players on that other side, but we just couldn't get it going. And once it got going, it got going. And Braxton's kind of I remember with the headset saying, "It's Braxton time." You know, let him run the ball and get us started here. Let's get on the other side of the 50-yard line where things ease up a little bit.
Josh Perry, how do you feel like he did after?
Okay, he's a great kid, obviously a local guy, very talented. He just got to learn to release and let it go. But obviously Coach Fickle had confidence in him, and he said he played. I asked the same question. How did I meet with our defense, go through each guy. How did he play? And he played okay. You know, he's got to play better, but he's willing and a good person and a lot of talent.
Left, Rob.
Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch. Urban, we're halfway point. You've been through this Heisman thing before. Where do you stand on promoting a kid, Braxton in this case? What do you look for? What's your definition of a Heisman candidate winner?
I usually don't even speak of it. I've been asked the question until after the season. I've been lucky to have, I think, 4 Heisman candidates, including Josh Harris at Bowling Green, Alex, and a left-handed kid down there for 3 or 4 years, 3 years. I mean, it's an honor even to be mentioned. I've been to that thing, and it's incredible for these kids. At the right time, I don't think Braxton's a Heisman candidate right now. I think he's certainly to watch. He's got the ability, but then again, I don't know who is. We're only halfway through the season. And in about 2 or 3 games, I think you can start talking about that. I'm not talking to Braxton about it. We're trying to win some games. So I think at the right time, he will be a candidate if he continues to play very well.
Front, Rusty.
Rusty Miller, AP. Maybe I'm just going to drop the word AP in a question. But did you say earlier when you had like the state of the team that you said you're a top 10 team? Mm-hmm. So you do take into consideration. I mean, I know you can't be in the BCS, you're not in the coaches bowl. Do you at least that's one way of gauging where you are, perhaps?
Sure.
What people think of it?
Yeah, especially if I was talking to a group of players that they're the reason that they're not in the USA Today poll and the BCS poll and all that kind of stuff, then I wouldn't talk to them about it because they didn't deserve it. But last time I checked, there wasn't one player in this room, but maybe there was. I shouldn't say that because I'm not quite sure. But these players are just playing football, and they have a right to know where they stand on a national level. You come to Ohio State now that's why we're all here. Is you should be having those discussions in the middle of October.
But usually, Coach will say, we don't look at any of the rankings or anything. Is this such a unique
Not
year?
this coach.
Well, but also, is this also unique because of the circumstances that you're dealing with?
No, we're just trying to get to 7-0, and once again, the thing is, they're going to talk about it when they go home, when they walk to class, when they're going to talk about it. So why not have, like, here's really where we're at, and no, we'll have conversation about that once it starts. We don't talk about it in September, but once it gets going, absolutely, we'll talk about it.
Doug Lamorese, Cleveland Plain Dealer. Just on the Braxton name topic, are there any little Urbans? You ever heard stories about getting named?
Careful how you ask that.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I hope not.
No fan ever sent you a thing and said we need a kid?
No.
Okay. Is Josh Perry for sure? There's Trestles out there.
You guys are something. What?
There are Trestles out there. See, go 12-0 this year and see what happens. Is Josh Perry for sure, you think, the answer at this point, or will there be things that you evaluate? You know, Curtis Grant has started games this year.
Right.
Could you move some guys?
We're also dealing with, this week will probably be a lot of nickel. So you got Storm and you got Shazier. But I think it's safer to ask Coach Fickle will he have a chance to visit with the media, Coach Fickle?
Not scheduled, but we can ask.
You're tough, Jerry.
And just,
Don't blame that on me now. I got the Twitter thing. Everybody accused me of that.
just in talking about the depth at linebacker, the depth or lack of depth on the offensive line, that kind of stuff. I think you're at 76 scholarship guys right now, just with some of the guys you left. Do you feel it?
Oh, yeah. You feel on special teams, big time. Yeah, you see guys, and once again, the challenge that we were scoring our 63rd point of the night, and Jack Muhort and our Norwell are on extra point field goal. That shouldn't happen. That's wrong, and that's where the young lineman got to step up and go play. That's not right. So we are definitely feeling the issues of a scholarship reduction. Absolutely, we are. Anytime there's transition of a coaching staff, there is transition of players. We're feeling that in a big way. When we lost a couple D linemen, that hurt us bad. And it doesn't show up until someone gets a turf toe or someone has an issue, then it really starts to surface. And we're at that point right now. I mean, we got a couple older linebackers and everyone else are freshmen.
Steve?
We're at 76, you said, right? Yeah.
Coach Steve Halwagen with Bucknuts 24/7. Just tying up some loose ends last week, you put out there that Raquan Southwood was leaving, Jamie Wood was having a surgery. Just those two guys, what the hope and the prospects are for them. Is Southwood still in school, I presume, to finish the term? Or?
I don't think he is. I think he just said, lost his love for the game and wanted to get back closer to home. And Jamie I think we had 2 or 3 surgeries on that shoulder, right?
This will be his second this year.
Yeah. And he was helping us. We need his help. And he's a great kid now. I mean, he's a great kid.
Do you foresee, is there any chance of this being medical waiver, or will he have a chance to come back next year?
Jamie Wood, we're still evaluating that. Right now we're just looking after the best interest of him. So he's, 2 shoulder surgeries are tough.
And last thing, Cardale Jones, just noticed he wasn't there Saturday. Obviously put some comments out there. Just anything to talk about what happened with that?
Yeah, we're getting ready to play a big-time game in that great stadium, and I get, a bunch of text messages and phone calls about, did you hear? So we suspended him immediately for the game. Very ignorant comment. But that's exactly what it is, a 19-year-old making an ignorant comment, which makes him one of, I think, 460 million. So we're going to move on. I moved on already, and we had a good chat. He's very apologetic. He does go to class, in case people want to check. And he's actually a hell of a kid, heck of a kid, excuse me. He's kind of surprised me.
Sounds just like a moment of weakness. He was a little frazzled.
I've been there. You've been there?
Yeah, definitely.
Probably be there again.
Back left, Jerry.
Urban, Indiana, obviously has had some pretty major struggles the last year and a half or so. But they played Michigan State very competitive.
They're coming on.
So, and they've had moments. What do they do well?
Offensively, that guy's a heck of a coach. He was at Northwestern back in the Randy Walker era when he was one of the originators of this up-tempo. And then we actually coached against him when I was at Bowling Green in '01, and they had Zach Kustok. Remember that whole crew? Tremendous. He was offensive coordinator. I mean, he was on cutting edge. Then he went to Oklahoma, and we coached against him there, and they were tremendous with Bradford and that whole group. I think he's one of the. I've always loved this coach, and our Tom Herman and I were talking about him today, Kevin Wilson, and we've stolen a lot of stuff. I mean, I think he's an innovator. Used a lot. I mean, a lot of respect for him as a guy. I know him very well too. It was a matter of time before Indiana's got the right coach now. I mean, he's a tough guy. He's a very good coach. They're getting better in all phases. I wasn't here last year, but I watched some of their film. They're a much better team. They have pretty good players too, and they're throwing it. I want to say they're fourth in it. They're way up there in throwing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they throw the ball very well. I've not spent a lot of time watching their offense yet. I will later on in the week.
Front row, Doug.
Doug Harris, I don't know if historically you've been kind of a fake punt kind of person, but maybe what did you see there? Were you just trying to flip the field? And I thought after the timeout maybe they might have suspected something.
Yep, you're right. And I almost, we went away from it. I saw they're a big hold-up team. I watched the first 2 or 3 times we did punt. I thought it would be there, and we needed a momentum shift because the offense was in reverse, and their defense, eventually they're going to give up some points to that talented group on Nebraska. So I want to say it's a second fake punt's not worked, and we've done it up a bunch. I was reminded by my son, I think it was their second one that's not worked. He was a little upset with me afterwards.
Far left, Lori.
Coach, you said that when your team needs grounded, the best solution to that is a good workout. But are you getting to the point of the year where you're getting diminishing returns from tough workouts? Do you have to back off at any point to...
Well, we probably had our toughest workout for the backups on Sunday. Yesterday's practice, we had a good 25-minute scrimmage, 20-minute. I mean, they went after each other. The old guys won 8 victory meal. But the young players, we have to develop depth. And college football, as opposed to pro, is all about development of those young players. And so I was counting it one day just doing, if you're a non-football player, you basically have 5 days off. Think about that. If you're a non-player, you practice Tuesday and Wednesday, then everything else is shorts. And, on Friday you get up and don't do anything. Saturday you go watch a game like everyone else. Don't play. And then Sunday you kind of mess around a little bit, and then Tuesday and Wednesday you go again. So we're trying not to, I wish there was some NCAA rule that the non-players could practice, or the guys that are not playing in games, because they have to get better, and they want to get better. So you're right with the older guys, though. You got to be very careful. These old guys, there's a lot of, you get so many hits on the shoulder, and so we're being very smart about that. But we're all about development too, and so we have to develop the younger players.
Tough determining how much Braxton should practice, because I know you extend sort of more of a leash to older players in terms of practice time, but he's just a sophomore, and he's so integral to the offense. Very good question, and he absolutely will not miss a moment of practice. Can't, and he won't want to. No, we don't hit him. Now that's the difference between him and a 3 technique, or Goebel, and the tough ones are Goebel, Hankins, Simon, Nate Williams, and my five starting linemen. The reason those 5 linemen are getting better, they get to block Hankins every day on Tuesday because we go against each other. I mean, hard, violent practice. And so we do back down, but that's why they've gotten better. Because you could go out there and block scouts all day long, you're not going to get better. And the offensive line, if I've showed you video, it might be fun for you guys to watch. You watch a spring practice video of that offensive line on April whatever, and then on October on that night, it's completely. That shows you how much progress they've had because of hard physical practices.
Middle, Brandon.
Just going back to Coach Warner for a second, obviously, his ties to Ohio and everything, but you look at where the offensive line has come. What were you looking for from an offensive line coach? That kind of thing that you've seen? Right, and I didn't know. I knew of him, and we knew each other. Steve Adazio has been my line coach, the head coach at Temple, for a long time, and I wanted to hire another Steve Adazio. I want to hire a tough guy that's also very involved in the game planning, because sometimes line coaches just go live in their world. And the thing I liked about Ed Warner, he was the offense coordinator at Kansas when they went to the Orange Bowl. He's got a great concept of the big picture, but he's also a tough guy that coaches those 5 guys, and I thought he's done very well.
Austin?
You referenced that Simon was probably feeling a little bit better. He obviously played well on Saturday. How difficult is it to figure out if he's feeling better since he doesn't tell you?
Well, we have grown man conversations now. I don't, I'd ask him, and he's very honest with me now because we need to know. I mean, that's a hurt player sometimes will hurt you. You know what I mean? As far as he'll put himself out of position, but John's awesome, and he lets us know now.
So he is telling you where it's hurting or how much.
Yeah.
You said earlier you just say he's fine all the time.
Yeah, I don't just ask him how you doing. We go through a checklist. And we got the rib squared away, the groin squared away, the rolled ankle squared away. Now we're just dealing with the shoulder.
Tim?
Yeah, Urban, go back to the depth things. Are you disappointed that some of these freshmen, fairly highly touted linebackers haven't stepped up more?
Very.
And just talk about a couple that you think, I mean, obviously, Shazir's out there running around, limping a little bit and stuff like that. Just who would you like to see step up this week specifically? Or are there a couple that are pretty close in you think?
Yeah, Josh Perry is a guy that has to step up. He has all the talent. David Perkins was a guy that's helping us on kickoff, but should be further ahead. Jamal Marcus should be further ahead. Cameron Williams played a little bit. He's on the big one, and he should be because they're all good guys. The good thing is they're good kids. They come from good people, good families, and they have talent. So we just got to accelerate their growth.
Let me ask one other quick thing. The Replogo kid plays on defensive line for Indiana. Obviously, they're not loaded with guys like that.
Centerville, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk about guys like that, and what does he stand out? I guess on video when you watch him.
Well, it's the same old. It seems like every week we play someone from Ohio. That tells you how great high school football is in the state. And yeah, he's very good. He's their best D lineman. And when I was watching, I asked him a few times. That's when they told me he was a Centerville guy. And his brother, I think, played there as well, right? Yeah. He's their best defensive lineman.
Doug?
Urban, I know obviously this is your team, this is your focus now, but there was a time in the past when some had criticized you about the way what you had left at Florida. Some people thought cover was bare, or however they want to phrase it there. And also there's kids there you recruited. You know a lot of those kids very well. Have you been paying attention at all to how Florida's playing? What do you think of their start so far?
Well, I'll always be a Gator. I keep in touch with some of those players. Great win, great tough win against a tough opponent. Absolutely. And I don't want to get into all that coverage bare because obviously, that's one man's opinion, and it's not. We got to move on. But I'm very proud of those guys. Love those guys. Really proud to see Jeff Driscoll play well. He's a heck of a player.
Bill, I didn't mean you. I was just looking at Doug, but I did mean you.
Orion Johnson has obviously stepped into the starting role, quasi-starting role for the most part. How well has he played? And last year he was a guy that went to Chicago for the Big Ten, his media day thing, and then had his role shrunk. How's he responded to all that?
He's responded. He actually fought through a hip injury as well. He had a hip pointer. And you remember when he intercepted the ball and he almost couldn't run after he picked off the pass. And so he's doing well. Orion Johnson is a guy that's very active in a lot of roles on this team. A very talented guy, more talented than he even thinks he is. And so I don't want to say he's accepted the role because he's not. He's a starter. And if we get CJ back, I'm not sure what Coach Withers is going to do, but I know Orion Johnson's not going to just hand that starting spot back.
When you say more talented than even he thinks he is, what do you mean by that?
Well, I think he's as tall, big, fast as safety as I've ever been around. And sometimes I'm just not sure. He's got to learn to keep playing and let it loose. And he's playing better. He's playing very well at times. He just got to play better all the time because he's a really talented guy.
Follow that up, CJ and also Jordan Hall. Where do they stand heading into?
Jordan's not right yet, and CJ is a good sign yesterday. He was out there running around, and we need to have him back for obvious reasons. Kicking game too.
Time for a couple more questions. Far left, Dan.
Dan Hope from the Lantern. I just want to know, with seeing what Indiana did against Michigan State at home this week, making it a close game, and Michigan State having to come back, what do you do with your team to make sure that you don't have a slow start and have to come back and fight it out at the end?
Very concerned. We've had two very emotional wins, two very physical wins. There were a lot of sore bodies out there last night at practice. Very, very concerned about that. So I'm still working through that. I don't know to answer your question. I have some ideas, but I want to evaluate the way they show up tomorrow because they're off today, obviously, and so that's a big concern. How we handle, I think, the couple questions you asked, how do we handle the beat-up bodies and still develop young players, and then also make sure this team understands. The best thing that happened was they played well against Michigan State, because every player right now has already seen that game on their iPads and all that kind of stuff, so they've already seen that. That's the best thing that could happen. You know, you go in there and face a team that didn't play well. The good thing is they are getting better. Indiana has talent, a lot of talent in certain positions, and they play an offense that you better have every T crossed and I dotted, or they're going to pop one on you. So the film doesn't lie, and that's the best thing that happened.
Far left, Matt.
I wanted to ask you, tight ends caught 85 of your yards receiving last week. Is that
great? Yeah, they're good guys.
Is that a branch of the offense that is getting there and can be explored more? And what did you see, I guess, last week?
I see really improved players. I see Hireman and Nick Vanette have earned that right to do that. They're very, you know, Jeff Hireman didn't go noticed in the stat sheet, but he played. Was he a champion? He was real close to being a champion because he did play well. Yeah. No, he was not, but he was very close. He did play well, and Nick Vanette has been doing that in practice, so he's earned that right to do that. And those catches weren't, two of them were very difficult catches they made, but they've earned that. And you'll see more and more of our tight ends.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.